It is Sunday the 14th of April, which is my due date, and I'm going into hospital to be induced. Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Long time no see. It's been a busy month. If you have been following anything that I put up online, you will see that I had a baby 4 weeks ago. And I mean, the clue is in the title of this vlog, because this is my birth story. Trigger warning: if you are about to give birth or are pregnant and are looking for positive birth stories, this might not be the one to watch. It did not go to plan. Yeah, so I'm going to be completely honest, and I'm going to tell you exactly how it all went down. So if you are not looking to watch anything slightly traumatic or off-putting, maybe watch this after you've given birth. So anyway, so I thought I filmed some of in the hospital before things got a little bit tricky, so I'm going to include that in a little while, but I thought I would just kind of give you a little bit of a an introduction to that, because I cannot remember for the life of me what I filmed, and yeah, I haven't looked at it yet, so I thought I would just talk you through it. I'll show you what I've got. I know when I filmed too, and then I'll chat to you about what happened after I stopped filming and why I stopped filming. On the 14th of April, so, which was my due date, I went into hospital to be induced. So if you haven't seen any of my other videos, we had quite a complicated pregnancy. We had a high nuchal reading. Well, we had a bleed early on and we thought we'd lost the baby. We hadn't, obviously, thankfully. Then we had a high nuchal reading, which means that there's a chance of Down syndrome, so I had to have what's called a CVS procedure, which is like a needle in your stomach, which then came back all clear, so that was fine. There was no chance of any chromosomal abnormalities, but it did mean that we were high risk for the rest of the pregnancy because they weren't sure why that reading came back as it did, blah blah blah. Then we were put as low risk. I have no idea how long I'm going to film, by the way, because she's currently sleeping, but that doesn't mean much. Could be 5 minutes, could be half an hour, could be 2 hours. Yeah, so then we were put down to low risk because they thought everything was fine. And then we were put back up to high risk because we had growth scans and she wasn't growing as she should be. Luckily, right towards the end of the pregnancy, she did start growing better and kind of fit onto the scale that they want her to be on. So again, we were kind of back down to low risk. So when our consultant said they were going to induce me, I was quite surprised because I thought that everything was fine and it, you know, we would just be allowed to have the pregnancy run its course and go into labour naturally. But they decided to induce me on my due date, which was the 14th of April. So on that Sunday, Sam and I went in to the hospital very early, and they started the induction process. Good morning. I have not vlogged in a very, very long time, but this is a very special occasion. So it is Sunday the 14th of April, which is my due date, and I'm going into hospital to be induced. It might not be a quick process, it might be over a couple of days, but I'm hoping it won't. I've had lots of niggles, lots of cramps, lots of Braxton Hicks fake contractions, so fingers crossed. But I wanted to film it all and I wanted to have it to look back on. So Sam's just getting parking change. It's like 10 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, I'll keep you up to date as much as I can. Sam, you might have to do some filming. Right, can't be too loud because I'm on the ward. But this is the current situation. So I have been monitored. They have to like put straps around my belly and monitor me, and then I had the starting of, like, they started the induction process. So basically that means that I have 6 hours now, well, from when they started it, until they will examine me again. If there's not much progress or I've not gone into labour or anything, then they'll send us home tonight and then get me back and have stage 2 of the induction process tomorrow, which sucks because that's his birthday and I really don't want the baby here on his birthday because I want everyone to have their own birthdays, but I'm starting to come to terms with the fact that I don't have any control over that. Yeah, so it is now, what is the time? 3 o'clock exactly, and my next examination is at 6:30, so I've got 3.5 hours for that. Other than that, that's about it at the moment. We're in our second circuit of the hospital. Having fun? Are you having a good time? Is that a yes or a no? I said no. Oh. Look, your daughter's going to watch this back in years to come and see how miserable her dad was when we were trying to...
Give me a walk around the hospital.
Get her to come out. It's very cold, very windy. Nothing else to report really, we're just walking around. I mean,
it's a bigger place than I thought.
It is big, yeah. There's lots to it. 10 to 6. And still nothing. What are you doing? Watching the golf. I'm just sitting up, eating flapjacks. Nothing else to do. This is my dinner. This is corned beef hash apparently. Although it tastes as much like vomit as it looks. It's horrific. So I'm not eating that. Oh. To be honest, I don't feel like anything has happened today really. So when I get examined in like half an hour's time, I think I have to put me back on the monitors on my stomach, and then we should be allowed to go home for the night. And it might be that I go into labour at home, or it might be that I come back in the morning for a second round of like the hormones, the induction hormone basically. So we can get some food on the way home, basically. I don't have to eat the vomit hash. He doesn't get fed at all, do you?
No, it's all okay, is it?
They come in, they're like, do you want to order dinner? And they just, you don't get anything. I have my monitors on, checking her heart rate and the movements and contractions, and then I have to click this every time she moves. And if you listen, you might be able to hear her heartbeat in the background. Speak to her. Tell her what you're looking at. Yes, speak to your viewers.
No, I don't want to speak to my viewers. This is one of these videos where they have to work out what's going on.
No, show them the time.
I am showing them time, I think. What are you on about? Do you want to speak to your viewers?
No, I don't know.
Oh, look at that.
I just got told off. I'm not drunk enough.
By me, by the way.
No, my midwife.
What have I been saying all day?
Over the microphone at the top. Yeah, that's the microphone.
What have I been saying all day?
That's the microphone.
What have I been saying all day?
To drink more.
What have you not been doing?
Drinking.
And what did you get told off for?
Not drinking.
Being.
So they might have to put a cannula in and put fluids in. So now I'm drinking. Show them the. Is there like a printout thing?
Yeah, they can see that. But I have no idea what it means, so I can't tell them anything. There's squiggly lines everywhere.
Can you see the contractions?
That's the green one. Are you having one now?
No, just regular watering.
You sure you're not having one now?
I don't think I am. No, I'm not. Good morning. Happy birthday.
Thanks.
What a strange birthday. It is currently 9:30. We have got up, got dressed. It's quite nice actually, because obviously we were sent home last night, so I don't know how far I got with vlogging last night, but basically they said they were going to let us go for the night and then bring us back in today, but they needed to get an extra reading on the graph thing, and the baby just would not settle. She was all over the place, so I ended up being on the monitor. I was supposed to be on it for half an hour. I ended up being on it for about 2 hours, by which time we were both pissed off, fed up, hungry, tired, wanted to go home. So I didn't end up vlogging before we left, but that's where we are at the moment. Nothing happened overnight apart from just me being very uncomfortable. Yeah, so we're going back in. We've got to be back in for 12:45, but we thought we'd go and have some breakfast first because it's the only thing we're going to do to celebrate your birthday, isn't it?
Well,
Well, yeah. What else is a celebration of your birthday? Nothing. Today is not about you. You're hoping the nurses have?
Well, not you.
Oh, me? I don't have. I mean, there's a Marks and Spencer's. We can go down and see what you want in there if you like. Other than that, it's not going to be about you, I'm afraid.
Nope.
Yeah, so that's all I have to report at the minute. I'll keep you up to date. We're back. Ooh, good catch. Sam nearly dropped his phone. What did you say the time was?
Right, where's Gemma? Gemma, I want to put you back.
20 to 6. There's nothing to report. It's been another slow day. Sitting in this chair. Sam's on my bed. We've been for walks. I've had a sleep for about 10 minutes. There's literally nothing else to tell you. We've been upgraded to a room with a view. Sam's not the view, the view's behind Sam. It's a ship view, but the room we were in before the curtains we were in, down the other end, and the wall came slightly out. We were right on the end, the wall came slightly out. So the bed, everyone just kept walking into the bed. So if I'm going to stay here overnight or try and get any sleep or anything, everyone's just going to keep waking me up. So Sam was like, well, there's like about three free beds up there. Can we move? So they've put us in this end one, which is nice. I've just eaten my dinner, which was a jacket potato, which is about this big. I don't know whether he's going to go and get food later or what we're going to do. It is now 7:15. I am getting contractions, but they're just not regular and they're not really painful, they're just more uncomfortable. So, I'm just tired. Do you have anything to add? How are you finding this situation? You must have something to add, you're going through this too. You're getting cabin fever though, aren't you? It's not been a very good birthday. As he said earlier, this is both of our mess.
Why are you blurry?
Just tap me.
Oh, there you are.
Are you filming?
Yeah, how are you feeling?
On these, the monitors.
Stunning.
God. Show them this.
They've seen this yesterday, but
Yeah, but show them that.
hang on, I need to. These little bits down the bottom. I'm going to do this upside down and you're going to moan at me when you come today. Show you this. This isn't great, guys. I need more practice.
They've all got motion sickness now. So those peaks at the bottom have the contractions.
Yep. Background.
You're a bit obsessed with watching this monitor, aren't you?
Yeah, but you're only at 6. This little 6 needs to be higher.
Sorry, I'm working on it.
30s. Go.
Wow, I look great. It's currently 3 AM. I don't know if you can hear me, but Sam went home at midnight. Can you see me? We have a development, so I thought I would share. We now have our own room, and look who's back. So she broke my waters at like 3 o'clock, and there was meconium, which is baby poo, in them, which meant that they had to get me over to the labour ward quickly because they need to monitor me, just in case there was any reason that the baby had done it, because she was stressed, but she doesn't seem to have, she just seems to have needed a poo. So Sam was asleep in the car park, so I rang him quickly and he came up, and they've transferred me to the labour ward. I'm not, this sounds nuts because we've been here for days and I'm getting really strong, really regular contractions, but I'm not technically in established labour yet because I'm not 4 centimetres dilated. So I have like 4 hours, or I think it's like 3 now, to get to that stage. And if not, they'll put me on a drip, but hopefully that won't happen. Hopefully we'll get there by our own accord. I don't know what I'm supposed to do to make that happen, but yeah, so we've got our aromatherapy oils burning, we've got little candles, we've got the lighting low. It's nice. The only shit bit are the contractions. Oh, I've gone blurry. So I think this is kind of where I stopped filming, because things got a little bit hairy quite, when I say quickly, it was a 14-hour labour, so it wasn't quick, but it was quite dramatic, the whole process. So I stopped filming, or Sam stopped filming, just because it was the last thing on our mind. Then we just had to wait, basically. So because they'd broken my waters, that made my contractions a lot stronger and a lot more regular. So I was contracting a lot and it was getting quite painful by then, but I wasn't progressing. So I think I was only like 2 or 3 centimetres dilated at that point. This is where it's probably going to get graphic, sorry, as if it hasn't been already. Yeah, so I was only about 2 or 3 centimetres dilated. So, and it got to about 7 o'clock in the morning, I think it was. So that was like 4 hours after they broke my waters. So they just said to me that I had 2 options. I could continue as we were, but they were quite concerned about the baby because of the meconium in my waters. So that they would advise that I went on to the hormone drip, which basically like next levels your labour. So I had wanted a hypnobirth. I'd wanted it all calm. I'd wanted minimal drugs, although I was open to ideas. Obviously I have no idea how labour was going to feel. I didn't know how I was going to cope, so my hope was that I would be able to do it with minimal drugs, but I wasn't saying no drugs, don't offer me them. I was saying, you know, if I really need them at some point, great, but if I can, I would like to do it without. I'd also wanted a birth pool, but with the situation we were in, that didn't happen. Yeah, so they advised that I went on the drip. The problem was, because I was hypnobirthing, I was trying to do it naturally. If they put me on the drip, because it would send my contractions like through the roof fairly quickly, the hypnobirthing techniques wouldn't really be able to keep up and I wouldn't be able to deal with the pain. So to have the drip, they also advised that I had the epidural. I also asked about a C-section at this point, and they told me that I couldn't have one. Yeah, so I went for the drip and the epidural because they were concerned because the baby's heart rate was dipping slightly, not too much, but a little bit. And because of the meconium in the waters, it was just advisable to get labour going quicker. So when I went on the drip, I started progressing really quickly, slightly too quickly, because then her heart rate really started dropping. I was laying on my back at this point, and because you have is it a main artery or something running down your back, sometimes when you lay on your back when you're pregnant, the weight of the baby can stop the oxygen getting to the baby quite so well. So but they thought that that might be contributing to the low heart rate, so they laid me on my side. Now, I have an old hip injury from falling off a horse when I was 16, and by this point the epidural had kind of kicked in, but we later found out it hadn't actually worked properly. So apparently I wasn't supposed to be able to move my legs. I could move my legs and feel my legs the entire time, but I didn't know that it hadn't worked properly, so I was just kind of oblivious. I was also on gas and air, and I don't really remember the pain of contractions, but I do remember the pain of my hip when they laid me on my side. Oh my god, it was agony. And I remember like screaming about it, and they were like, well, there's not really much more we can do. We've given you the epidural, you're on the gas and air, you can't lay on your back because the baby's heart rate's going down. And then about midday, they decided to take me back off the drip, and I think I was 7 centimetres by then, because they thought that that might be contributing to the low heart rate of the baby. So I came off the drip, and what happened then? It's all a little bit of a blur. I really need Sam here, but he's at work. So I came off the drip, and everything slowed down. So the baby's heart rate went back up, but my labour just stopped progressing. They gave me, I think it was another 3 hours I was off the drip, and then they examined me again, and I hadn't gone any further. I think I'd done like 1 centimetre, and I remember laying there going, 1 centimetre, that's shit, I've done shit. And obviously I'm off my face on gas and air and epidural and everything, so I just remember, and Sam was like, you haven't, that's really good. I was like, no it's not, that's rubbish. So that's as far as we got when we came off the drip. So they put me back on the drip, and things went absolutely haywire. So I just remember all of the doctors came rushing in. The baby's heart rate dropped. It was at 140 and it dropped to 30, and I had progressed from 7 centimetres to 10 centimetres fully dilated in 15 minutes. And I remember the room being empty, it was just me and Sam. I don't know where they'd gone. I think they might have gone to get the doctors because the baby's heart rate was going down. And I remember saying to Sam, these contractions are making me want to push, I need to push. And he was going, no, you can't push because you're only 7 centimetres, because obviously I'd only gone back on the drip 15 minutes ago. And he was saying, you can't push, wait till the midwife comes back and we'll talk to her. And I remember saying, I have no choice, like this isn't something I can control, my body is just pushing, I'm pushing this baby out, this is happening. And the midwife came back in, and the heart rate was really, really low, so she examined me again, purely to make sure that there was no cord prolapsing, that the baby didn't have a cord around its neck, that it was kind of, everything was okay, because they couldn't work out why the heart rate was so low. And it turns out I was at 10 centimetres in 15 minutes, and she was like, okay, you can start pushing. And then suddenly they realised that the baby had turned back to back. So this whole pregnancy, she had been in the perfect position for labour, head down, like front to back, bum where it needed to be, legs where it needed to be. Literally in the last minute she turned back to back. I think it was because of the trauma of it all, and I don't know whether it was something to do with my old injury, that my pelvis couldn't open up enough, or that was mentioned. Anyway, at that point all of the doctors rushed in. There was about 10 people in the room, which is really stressful and really worrying. Sam was terrified, and they started saying that they wanted to take me to theatre for a C-section. And do you know what, at that point I was like, yeah fine, just do it, just do what you need to do. And then he said, the doctor said, well, what we're going to try first is an episiotomy, which if you don't know is where they cut you open basically down there, and forceps delivery, but I don't think that's going to work, and then we'll try a C-section. And I was like, wait a sec, absolutely not, that's not happening. I was like, you're not cutting me down there, then if that doesn't work, cutting me further up for a C-section. I was like, why can't we just go straight for the C-section, because then that's just done. I'm not having stitches in every direction. So they rushed me to theatre. So then we got into theatre, and Sam was putting his scrubs on, apparently. I mean, I remember bits of this, and I've pieced bits together from what Sam's told me and the doctors have told me and the midwives and stuff. Yeah, so Sam went to put his scrubs on, and I was laying there. Basically what they do is, if you've already had the epidural and then you go in for an emergency section, they just top your epidural up so that you can't feel from like the waist down. That's when we found out my epidural wasn't working, because the anaesthetist, I can't say that word, I really struggle, anaesthetist, the guy who does the injections, the drugs guy, who was my best friend, came in, and what they do is they spray you with like an ice cold spray and say, can you feel that that's cold? And I was like, yes. And he sprayed it on my belly, and I was like, yes, I can feel that's cold. And he went, no, I know you can feel the spray there, I know you can feel the sensation of the spray, but can you feel that it's cold? I was like, yes, I can feel that it's icy. And so then he sprayed it down my legs and got further and further down, and sprayed it further up, and was trying to kind of work out where the epidural was working, and I could feel it everywhere. So then he pinched me on the stomach and said, can you feel pain when I pinch you? And I said, yeah. He was like, no, I know you can feel the pinch, but can you feel pain? I was like, yes, I can feel everything you're doing to me. Like, I can feel the pain, I can feel the cold, I can feel it all. And he was kind of quite sceptical. I was high as a kite, so fair enough, he probably thought I didn't know what I was talking about. So then he said to me, okay, well, lift your legs up then. If you can feel it, you'd be able to lift your legs up. So I just lifted both my legs up, and he just, I remember his face looking at the surgeon going, this isn't working on her. He said, I can administer another dose, but that's going to take another 10 minutes. By this time her heart rate was really low, and I remember the faces of the surgeon looking back at him going, we don't have 10 minutes. So me laying there drugged up on the bed just went, for God's sake, what are you doing? Just knock me out and get this baby out of me. And they must have thought I was a right bossy boots, and that's what they did. So he was like, okay, we're going to have to go for a general anaesthetic, are you happy with that? And I was like, well, I mean, happy's not the word, but yeah, go for it. So in all of this, Sam, bless him, was standing at the door of the theatre in his scrubs, and I just remember them going, close the doors, can we close those doors? And he just got shut out, and no one told him why. He got taken back to the delivery room and left for half an hour before anyone mentioned anything to him, which I'm very angry about, as you can tell. But yeah, so he was in a whole world of trauma, and bless him, I think probably needs counselling from the whole situation. I think he's got PTSD. So the next thing I remember was I was laying on the bed, and they were like, right, we're going to have to get her onto the other, we need to get her onto the other bed. And I remember thinking to myself, that's not going to happen, I'm not getting up. Like, I'm in a lot of pain, I'm drugged up to the eyeballs, I can move my legs but I can't stand on them, I'm not getting on any other bed. And obviously then they put you on like a blanket and move you. I remember thinking, oh, thanks guys, that was good, well done, help a girl out. Yeah, so then they moved me onto the other bed, and then the next thing I know they said, oh, we're just going to give you some oxygen, and they put a mask on my face, and I don't remember anything else. That was it. The next thing I remember is coming round, and that's very hazy. Sam was standing there with the baby in his arms, and I remember saying to him, whose baby is that? And he was like, ours? And then he put her next to me, because I was kind of like out of it on the bed, and he put her next to me in my arms, like swaddled in a little blanket. And I remember thinking, I wonder what she looks like. I mean, I could have just had a look, but I was away with the fairies. But I do remember thinking that was the best moment of my life. The trauma was over. Everything had been so scary, so traumatic, so dramatic, and it was done. It was all done. I'd slept through it all. I didn't know anything about it. I felt great because I was on all the drugs by then, and she was here. So she was born at 5:15, 5:16 on the 16th of April, and she weighed £7.1, and she was perfectly healthy. After all those complications, after every doctor trying to tell me there was something wrong with my baby, and me saying, I think she's fine, I think she's going to be fine, she was fine. We didn't film anything else. I half am disappointed, because I wish we'd got some footage of her in the hospital as a brand newborn baby, but we needed that time. It was hard. The first few nights, the first couple of days were hard in terms of my physical recovery, both our mental states. We'd been through so much, and we just needed some time basically. So that was it really. That was my birth story. There's a lot I wish had gone differently. I don't really know how much to go into, but I think it's important to talk about because I would like to hope that, you know, maybe one day someone watching this might refuse an early induction in the future if they don't think there's a reason to be induced. Obviously it's difficult to go against medical advice, hence why we ended up being induced, because, you know, these people train for years and years and years, and who am I to say, well no, actually I'm gonna go against your advice and I'm gonna do what I want to do. It's hard, it's really hard, but I think she wasn't ready to come out, and that's why we had all the problems, and that's why I ended up with an emergency C-section and a general anaesthetic, which is just probably the least desirable outcome. But I'm healthy, she's healthy. I guess I can't complain in that way, and I'm trying to be very positive about it. I don't feel traumatized by it or anything like that. I'm okay with it all, although obviously I do wish that it had gone differently. Next time I will 100% be going for an elective cesarean. I actually wanted an elective cesarean before I got pregnant. I've always said I think I would prefer to have an elective cesarean. My mum had 3 horrendous births and it put me off, and I've always mentioned the idea of having an elective. And I wish I'd gone with my gut. So if there's anything that you get out of this, it's that you know your own body and you know how you deal with things, and don't let other people persuade you into things that you don't want to do. Because if I'd gone for an elective cesarean, it would have been a whole lot less traumatic. Sam, when I came round for my operation, was like, you are not doing that again. Next time we have a baby, it's coming out the sunroof. First time, that's it. There's going to be no more labour for you. So I don't know whether I should do like a Q&A for this, because I feel like there's so much more I could tell you. You might be watching this with questions, so I might do that. I might open up to some questions if you guys would be up for that. I might do it as a blog post, if not a video. So that's kind of it really. I was in hospital for 2 days and then sent home. C-section recovery is hard, but it's not the end of the world, and we're getting through it. We're 4 weeks on now. I have started vlogging, so hopefully next week I will put up a vlog. There's kind of bits here and there of not much really, because I haven't really gone out very often. But I have started vlogging, so hopefully that will be up next week. But I just wanted to get this one up and show you the footage that we got in the hospital. And I'm not going to let you meet her yet. You can meet her next week in next week's vlog, because I introduced her in that. So yeah. Thanks for watching. If you've got any questions, post them below. I will also probably put a Q&A up on my social media as well once I've put this out. So if you have any questions, keep eyes peeled for those. And I will see you next week.